What up, what up, what up? This is RJ Fantasy Football Talk, and we're back
Hey.
again. I would say we got a special show for y'all, but it's really not that special to me because of the fact, and my brother over here can code, he can vouch for me on this one. These positions we really don't care about that much, to be honest with you.
Well, I would correct. We're going to
But
talk about some stuff that we don't care about as much as we've cared. I care, but I don't care. If y'all been following us the last few weeks, we have been giving detailed breakdowns of quarterbacks, running backs, tight ends, who I leave out, receivers. This week, we're not going to go into that level of detail because it doesn't matter at all. We're talking independent IDPs, as they're called, the individual defensive players. We're talking team defenses, and we're talking kickers.
yes.
It,
And the thing is, me knowing you and playing fantasy football with you for the last almost
right.
10 years, I would like to think I know you well. You change out defensive players and kickers and stuff like that.
Yeah.
All the time. Defenses
Every single
I'm the
week.
same way. I don't really care about this. If you can get me
Right.
10 tackles, I'm good. All I need is about
Some of
10
the best
points from you. I'm
defensive
good.
players I've ever had are guys I have no idea who they are. When we get to it, I'll show
Thank
you
you.
my strategy for picking these positions. But if you we have a guy in one of our leagues who I'm going to switch up the game every single draft. And then the seventh round goes for his kicker. And we just look at him stunned like, dude, it's a kicker. I don't even
Why do
know
you do
who
that
my
to
kicker
yourself? You
is
can pick
week to
something
week.
to there.
I switch him in, I switch him out. I do, like you say, I do the same thing for defensive players. Team defense, it's just 32 teams. There's probably 10 to 12 people in your league. In a big league, you might have 16. It doesn't matter.
I mean, honestly, it's only about 3 to 4 good defenses that you really can roll with the whole entire year. I mean, it ain't
Yeah.
that many. You got we got Baltimore, Pittsburgh is up there, San Francisco, Buffalo. New England was top tier until they ran into somebody
Right.
like mid-season, but their defense went down after the break. So those are really the ones you can roll with.
Yeah.
Everybody else is interchangeable. I mean, I don't see why you would roll with anybody for the whole year
Yeah.
outside of those teams anyway. Baltimore was probably the
Right.
best defense outside of San Francisco last year. I think they held teams under 100 yards rushing for the whole entire year, which was a crazy stat for real. So, me personally, I don't really go defense
Right.
all year round like that. I mean, I changed mine out so bad. But the thing about it is, if you're in a league where you have a cap on
Right.
how many players you can pick up or defenses you can pick up, then you may want to roll with a defense all year round. But like for instance, in our league, we have no cap on. We have an unlimited pickup, so you can change out defensive players and defenses and
Right.
kickers all year long. If the kicker's doing well, you keep them. If not, drop them. I mean, it happens. We
Yeah.
know guys that don't even run with kickers. Really? Come on, man. Stop it.
You'll have a draft and you'll have people, let's say this 20 rounds, somebody you might start leaving around 18. Just like, yeah, I don't care no more. I pick my kicker later or whoever it is. It's like, these are insignificant spots. But we still want to give you some of the information you need. I want to welcome, I see Jasper and Olena watching, so thank y'all. We love to have you. Jasper, for you that don't know, is my father. And I'm going to show, if I can switch, because I know you said you don't care at all. Here's my strategy. All right. If you're looking at the screen right now, you'll see a list of defensive players. These are the IDPs, your individual. It's called different things. In some leagues, you'll have open to any defensive spots. In this case, you see the top players are all linebackers. We'll get back to that in a second. Sometimes it's sometimes it's defensive ends. You can have safeties, cornerbacks. It doesn't really matter. What I did right here is I clicked on 2019 stats in my league. This is a Yahoo league, and I just ranked them according to how many points they scored. So while I'm driving to the draft, I'm going to look down this list, and I'm like, oh, Jordan Hicks. I have no idea who that is, but he had a nice year. I know Darius Leonard, and so this is what I do. And so I just take that row by row, and depending on how your league is and who you have, sometimes you have to draft defensive players and you have to draft defensive back. It varies league to league, but whatever your standard is, look for those top defensive positions. See who was good, who sucked, and say, okay, I want that guy. A lot of people make the mistake of, oh, I know this name. I'm going to go. We were talking before the show. Aaron Donald. Yeah, he's really good. In real life, yeah. but in fantasy football, it's suspect. Exactly.
I don't think so. Yeah.
Don't get fancy. Don't try to outthink the room. Just look back at who's been good performers. Now, the one thing you might do in addition to that is see who's young. You might go with a Bosa that might not have been at the top of the list, but he was creeping near the top, and so you might see a guy like that make that big step forward. Like he could be the number one defensive player. You got like Chase Young, who was who's going to Washington this year. You might say, yeah, but that's my whole strategy. I got the same thing if y'all want to see them for defenses and kickers, because I do them all the same way. That strategy, just look at who was good last year. Y'all don't. If y'all want to see it, we can. I don't really think you have to, but
I mean, honestly, you really outside of Leonard, Wagner, Littleton.
Yeah, hold up. Corey Littleton is a Raider now, brothers. So I just want to throw that out there. Anytime I can say something about my Raiders,
really? I mean,
But Blake Martinez is someone I've rode with for the last few years. If you play for a while, you start to have a few names that always pop up. For a long time, it was Terrell Suggs. Every year, I would say, "Oh, let me make sure I get Terrell Suggs if I can." And you get to know some guys who are good fantasy producers, and that, yeah.
Luke Kuechly was the same way. He would get drafted early. Not early, but when defensive players went off the board, he was one of the first ones to go off the board. So, I mean, if you think about it that way, then I guess it's something. But these positions are not going to make or break.
No one has ever won a championship because they had the right kicker, right?
With defensive.
Now, of these three, I mean, what's the one you're going to put the most work into, or who are you going to draft first in one of your leagues?
The 49ers defense.
Right.
That's it. I mean, honestly, the answer is...
Well, of these three, you got to pick somebody first, right? So...
I mean, I guess I'm going to 49ers defense. I pick 49ers defense
you're a 49ers.
just because
I've actually done that a lot of times. Because my strategy is go for skills position players. So team defenses, defensive players, and kickers are always at the very last part of my draft. And so a lot of times I just pick, I like the Raiders. I go with them because I know I'm going to drop them in week 3 anyways. If you want to put some strategy behind team defenses, this is something I do. And it would have worked out great for you last year. I look at schedules and say who's playing the crappiest teams. And like the Patriots, they played Miami and they played the Jets. So automatically, they have two teams that can't score when they play against themselves. So you're going to get some good fantasy weeks out of those. So I think that's about it for my strategy. And for kickers, I go for kickers who are on teams that score a lot. The end.
I mean, the thing that I do, even like after the draft and I get home and put the teams in, once I get my roster up, most of the time
I've done that.
I pick up and I try to find somebody that's better. So, that's what I do most of the time anyway. So, to me, I have, like, if I can get me a decent receiver at pick 18, 19, I'm gonna get a decent receiver at that point and roll with that. But like I say, these positions are not going to win you a championship. They might not even help you win. We have a guy named in our league, and he hardly ever runs with a kicker. He don't even believe in it. Like and he done won multiple championships without a kicker. I have seen it done myself. So he's one of our good friends actually in our league. He's probably going to be on in a couple weeks.
That's actually a strategy because I play in a one league. It's a 16-team league. And so the bench is small. The bench is only 3 players. That's it. It can be a struggle sometimes deciding who you want. And so part of my strategy is between we pick, I think, 4 defensive players in that league, and we have a kicker. And so some weeks when bye weeks start happening and you're like, oh man, I don't want to lose this on the spot, I go a week and like, okay, I'm just drop this defensive player and I'm just going to put this extra wide receiver on my bench. And so because you're not going to get a lot of points from most of these positions. So sometimes you play a little games with it, like, okay, I don't have to start a kicker. In fact, if you have a kicker who misses field goals, you can actually get negative points. And so you might end up better off not having played anybody to begin with. So these are kind of the head games that you do. And, you know, I
mean, honestly, some kickers can lose your game if you up by like 2 points and they actually miss a field goal. It's like negative 2 or 3 points. And you can actually lose the game by point something. I have seen that done before, and that's like one of the worst losses.
I've done that.
I know you
too many times. Also, want to welcome Nita to the show. Nita, I'm glad you could be here. You had some problems I heard last week, so you missed some. You might have missed some of our kicker talk. So if you want to know more about it, I know you don't want to know about it. Nobody cares about the kicker. Remember, there was a beer commercial a few years ago with the kicker in the locker room when they won the championship. Everybody's popping champagne. He had a Bud Light or some beer, and next thing you know, they all look at him, tie him to like a pole. It's like kickers, because kickers get no love. They get no respect in real life. They definitely don't get respect on this show. So, yeah, that's about all I care to say about kickers. I don't know if you have anything. Kickers, defensive players. Did we leave anything out? If you're watching and you have a defense that you think is going to do great things that we should be giving some more love to, you're wrong. But feel free to put it down in the comment section. And while you put in stuff in the comment sections, we want to do our weekly reminder to tell you, hey, subscribe. Hit that subscribe button. I think it's somewhere down there.
Yes.
Find it, kick it. We're trying to hit 100 subscribers. We're going to be announcing our giveaway. We might not announce it tonight because we forgot to talk about it a little bit. But we do have some ideas we want to do to try to give you a chance. We're going to be giving away. I give a little bit away. We're gonna give away an Amazon gift card. We'll give you some more details soon on what you can do. But hit subscribe. Tell your friends hit subscribe so they can find out more about what we do here, and you can be part of our talking discussion family. So
I will say this: it's been some big news going around in the NFL for the last week. I mean, it's been some big news. I mean, it's been crazy. Today it was a big news, but we're gonna get on that later because I got a lot to say about that one. So, and it actually is another one that, I mean, I know your wife would enjoy that conversation, but we're going to hold on to that one, too. We're going to let her sit in the back a little bit.
Oh, yeah. We got something for her coming.
So it's okay. Yeah. So we're going to leave that one alone right now. But I want to talk about COVID-19 and what are they doing about the whole season thing.
Yeah.
We've been hearing a lot, man. It's been crazy, man. Like, they talking about people signing waivers to get in the stadium so they won't get sued. And they talking about taking 35% of the player's salary and putting it in the escrow. I mean, I think that's kind of crazy.
Yeah,
it's some crazy talk going on right now.
We were talking about this earlier, and it's one of those things. In my job, we had a meeting that we all had these like monthly meetings in that branch, and basically they told us that they were going to start sometime this month. They think moving us. Much like everyone, they have these 4 phases. So we're at phase 4 right now, which means no one's, unless you're like essentially going to work. And we're going to try to have some people in phase 3. But the point of the story is similar to what the NFL announced. They're going to have tiers. The NFL said they're going to have tier 1, tier 2, and then like tier 3 employees. And depending on what tier you are is when you're going to get back to the facilities. For instance, if you're tier 1, which I think is basically players, coaches, and such, they're going to be going in first, and then they'll go to phase 2, the tier 3 guys. For us, at my job, they're basically just saying people like me get comfortable at home. You're not going back anytime soon, which is all right with me because I don't mind. I don't mind working from home. But the thing is, if they're doing this at certain places, it kind of makes me wonder how this is going to work in the NFL because you've got these huge organizations that travel on a regular basis, and it just seems like it's not going to be a good thing. We were talking about switching sports. The NBA is going to be sort of the test case for how this works. They are all in their NBA bubble down there in Orlando, as bubble as they can possibly be. And they've already this week announced similarly that they had to shut down practice for which teams were there? We were talking about, I think, the Nets, Brooklyn, and
it was the Nets and the Bucks.
And so, it's
so. I mean, my thing with that is, I think it's just so weird, man, because of the fact that they talking about. I even read something to where they talking about where they talking about doing a shield all the way down your face mask to protect you, and they was talking about doing masks to where. Now you gotta realize this: if you put on a mask and you wear a mask all day long, just think about that. No ventilation, you can't breathe, and nothing like. It's already hard enough to breathe, like with that mask on. You wearing it all game with a shield on your face mask. That's just too much, man. Unless they gonna do some special N95 mask with ventilation pockets and stuff like that, I don't see how that's gonna work. But they pushing to have this season.
Yeah,
and I mean, I think they're gonna do it because they saying
they've got billions on the line, so they're gonna go through. Now, how does this affect your fantasy football strategy? We're both commissioners in a few leagues, and one of the things we were talking about was putting in an IR spot, injured reserve, because there's the possibility, and I would say it's a definite. You're gonna have players end up getting contracting this disease at some point, and so what do you do for your fantasy team? The IR spot would allow you to put a player that's going to have to quarantine for a few weeks on IR, so you don't have to drop them. You can always come back to them. I see right here we have a comment. We actually had two comments. One going back to kickers being able to win or lose games. True. Still don't care. Then Anita has a thing that says we talk about KC and the Raiders had three of the greatest kickers. I still don't care. But now I say my kicker matters in real NFL. In fantasy football, the odds of your kicker winning you a game, it can happen. It can happen.
Not so much.
But, not on a regular basis. Not enough to care about it.
I doubt it.
Because, let's see, you have, sometimes you have a kicker like, since we're talking Kansas City, they have Butker there, and Kansas City scores a lot of points. Yeah. So, the thing is, though, if they score touchdowns, you're only getting 1 point for extra point. You really want a team, since you guys are bringing it up, I'm going to go back to kickers for a little bit. If you have a team that scores a lot of touchdowns, your kicker gets you points, but not the way you really want them. You really want a kind of sorry team that can't quite get in the end zone, and they end up kicking a lot of field goals. But I don't know how you plan and strategize that. So, yeah. So.
No, I mean you really got to get kickers that on teams that actually put up points, get in the end zone, that type of thing. You really aren't like. I mean, you got Justin Tucker, a few. Honestly, man, kickers. You got it. So you got the New Orleans, Baltimore, Dallas. Probably Arizona's kicker.
Yeah,
that's about it. I mean, everybody else don't really get to the end zone as frequent as other teams. So, I mean, if you had those, like Justin Tucker was pretty good last year, he had opportunities, but kicking is really all about opportunities that you get. And I have seen games where you sit on the bench the whole game, and they go for 2-pointers. So kickers really don't matter that much, especially like Kansas City.
Yeah,
And they go
that's going to be interesting. The more people do, because they into analytics, the more they go for two instead of your kicker's going to become even more irrelevant. But we've been talking kickers too long. I'm bored. I'm falling asleep. I see another comment from Nita said, not really believing the NBA is gonna play. She said she's gonna believe it when she sees it. But she brings up a very interesting point. I thank you, Nita, for mentioning this because I wrote this down in my notes. I wanted to come back to Bruce Arians, the coach for Tampa Bay. He's I believe, a cancer survivor, if I remember correctly, and says he gets sick every year, and he's saying that he knows players are gonna get sick because they're all in this group together. Play spitting, touching, whatever. There's just no way you're going to be able to. Once it gets in a locker room, there's just zero chance of being able to contain it. And that's why I'd say we were talking again about being committed. We have to think out these kinds of things. I am hoping for a full season, but I'm also in the reality of there's a good chance we don't get all 16 games. There's a good chance. Fantasy football. We're doing all the research and talking right now, but there's a chance that we're not going to really get the season like people normally. Even if they play a season, it won't be the normal season that people are expecting. So you got to be able to. You got to go knowing in. That's possibly what's going to happen. So,
I mean, honestly, from what I read, I did some research on it as far as the money that they make from. As far as per year, they make about maybe $45 billion a year in the NFL. They say only about $4 billion of that goes to actual fans in the stadiums as far as buying food, drinks, tickets, and all that stuff. So they're really not losing a lot of money in a sense because they make $45 billion a year in just off of marketing from like Nike, Gatorade, sort of things like that. And then, they're blocking off the first 8 rows and they're just putting advertisement around the whole stadium. So just imagine if they're going to put an advertisement from Nike, Gatorade, Foot Locker, anything of that sort, they're going to make all their money. That $4 billion that they lost, and you got to think about that over 16 games, they're going to make all that money back and probably more anyway, just by advertisement. Small companies and stuff like that. So, I mean, if they doing all the precautions to have a season, because they know that's what people want, but I don't think it may get shut down mid-season, and I don't know how you will feel about that in your fantasy league, and then they're gonna take 2 months off to come back. Do you know how hard it is just to go 2 months without playing professional football?
And that's another thing I think is going to affect the season. Even if they play all 16, the off season has not been what it typically is. And there's no way they're going to be able to do it. So especially if you're a rookie, I think we talked about this when we talked earlier about rookie. You have rookies coming in that normally would make a bigger impact on your team. I don't know if I'm going to really gamble too much on rookies because they're not going to get the training beforehand that they normally would. They're not going to have that time. So veterans, I think, are going to have a big advantage. So when you're going in doing your fantasy football draft, my advice: don't go with too many young guys. Stay with proven guys who are already coming back to systems they played in. So,
yeah, I definitely wouldn't go for a rookie unless you're definitely with second-year players, but I definitely wouldn't go rookie. Second-year players definitely. Those guys because they've been in, and it's really even players that's going from one team to another may be a risk. I mean, actually, B-Hop is not a risk, but I mean, he's D-Hop, so
he's going to get paid, but it's still something to think about. He's not going to have that time because as much as people say the preseason doesn't matter, it matters a little bit. So he's not going to have all the normal reps he would have with him. So I think you're going to see a lot of rust. Because what about when they have strike seasons and they come back? People come back and it's like, it's not quite the same energy that you have. It takes a lot of training and condition to do what these guys do. That's why they get paid this kind of money. And speaking of getting paid, Now we can talk about
Mighty
the
Lord.
$503 million man.
Dollar man. God,
Goodness
Lord have
gracious.
mercy. Hey, look, when I seen this, right, man, my mouth dropped, man. I seen, because the thing is, I seen the 10-year. I was at work, and I seen Pat Mahomes signs a 10-year deal. Man, the first thing I did was I posted it. The second thing I did, I called JJ.
I didn't pick up.
But
I
didn't pick up the phone. So I was like, man, I gotta post this thing, man. Yo, this was insane, man. The contract is so crazy. It's insane. Yo, he's guaranteed just for injury $141 million just for injury. I mean, and it's another $63 million that's guaranteed on top of that. And you got to think it's really a 12 year deal.
The extensions don't kick in until 2022. So he's going to be poor this year. He's only going to make like $11 million. So, I don't know how he's going to eat.
Yeah, me either. Lord have mercy. This $11 million.
But
what are we going to do, JJ?
But then once this extension comes in, he's going to be averaging like $45 million a year. It's like greatness. Goodness.
They said it could like the guarantee money could be up to $470.
There's some incentives. So we say 503. He's not going to get 503. In order for him to get the 503 million, he would have to get to the Super Bowl for 10 straight years and be the NFL MVP. So he's not getting 503. But if he only ends up with like 450 million, I think he's doing all right. So. Yeah, I see what Orlando said. It blew her mind. It's crazy. That is the most any professional athlete has ever made in any sport ever. And we knew it was coming because we were talking about this before the Super Bowl. It's like Mahomes is going to break Kansas City's back in money this year. So. I'm glad they won the Super Bowl this year, and they got another year or so where they can do it, where he's not going to count too much. But by 2022, you can cancel everybody.
Right. See, but the thing of it is, he deserves every penny of it. I ain't gonna sit here and lie. He deserves every penny of his money. Now that it's so much money, and then they say the contract ends at 32 when he's 32, so. He's going to get another contract at 32 to play till he's 40, which is it's going to probably be another insane contract. He could possibly make $1 billion in the NFL. Yeah, which is unheard.
Did you hear the story that the true person who broke the story was someone that worked at the liquor store? Because they were my wife shared this with me. So apparently there's some liquor store near wherever they were doing this deal out in the plaza, I think. If you guys know Kansas City, have been there though. Basically, they went there and started ordering, and they ordered some people from some aides, I guess, from the team ordered a whole bunch of champagne. Yes. And they said there was a big signing happening. And so she put two and two together and posted Twitter, Instagram, so Twitter was that that there's going to be a Pat Mahomes signing. And she took it down, but she had the screen capture of it, so she brought it back up later after it was officially announced. So if you work at the liquor store, you get all the good news before anyone else. I see it is very important that Pat Mahomes has a girlfriend who's about to be his wife. So yeah, we won't prenup. We won't prenup. Yo, what's good?
I have one question though for you. We have some other quarterbacks in the pipeline.
Poor Dak for one. Right.
Deshaun Watson, Lamar Jackson. Do you see these guys doing a type of deal?
The only one of those I see doing this deal is potentially Lamar Jackson because he's got that fire right now. We'll see how he follows it up this year. Yeah. Dak, I think if they were going to give him, they're not giving him $500 million under any circumstances. But if he was going to get a deal anywhere like this, they would have done it before. They franchised him because they don't want to really commit right now. I think Deshaun Watson is going to get some. Maybe, and we were talking about this earlier this week. That might be the reason Nuke's not there anymore, because they gotta. They know they're gonna have to ante up when it's time to pay Deshaun Watson. So yeah,
I think he can break the bank.
I can see that.
$400 million. He's not going to reach 500, but I think he'll definitely see 400 million. And I don't think it'll be quite maybe 10 years, but I will say probably an 8-year deal because I know he's going to get something in that range. I don't see him doing 503, but I do see quite almost 4, maybe under 4.
Right.
I can see that, but maybe a 7-year, $300 million deal. But I still take that deal if I was.
I think the good thing, and I see Orlando said read her comment too, about blowing your mind. I'm pretty sure I read that. Yeah, I'm getting ahead now. I read it. But yeah, it bears repeating. It's a mind-blowing contract. Doggone it, now I lost my train of thought. But the point of the story is, I don't know what the point of the story is now. Thanks a lot. So we were talking about people getting paid. I think you should talk about Deshaun Watson. I think getting into $400 million. I think what I was going to say, it just came back to me, is the fact that I think what's good for the NFL is the Mahomes ceiling has been set, and I don't think anybody expects to get past that ceiling. So we've seen what the threshold of madness is. $500 million is what the best NFL player is worth. Lamar Jackson might show that he's worth even more to get that kind of player, that kind of money. But yeah,
I think the only quarterback that has made close to this amount of money in that span is probably Kirk Cousins. If you think about all the contracts Kirk Cousins has had over the span of his career, because Kirk Cousins played literally for like 20 million, 25 million just on those 1-year deals he got from the Redskins. Yeah. And then he got the 80 million or 90, 100 million guaranteed 1 year. Then they just gave him some more money. So, I mean, he might have eclipsed $300-something million already total for his career. I'm not sure, but I think if you go back and look it up, I think that he has, because they franchised him 3 times in Washington. So he got franchised 3 times. So he kind of made $26 million 1 year. Then it was 20. Then it was like 19. And then he signed that big deal with Minnesota. And then they gave him another deal. So
this is baseball money. This is literally baseball player money that Mahomes is pulling in. So yeah.
I mean, he's definitely worth it. I mean, I ain't gonna lie.
I don't think anyone's worth $500 million for anything. But
what I mean.
You know what? I just noticed I called him the $500 man.
No, the $503 million man. We're gonna get that right for you. So
I guess I can't read. So. Hold up for a second. Okay. Let me make this right. Move that over, because bam. Shame on your audience. Y'all should have noticed that before I did. $503 million man. So we're live. So
we're live, man. Stuff.
All right, y'all got to proofread me. That's why we have y'all watching the show. So
so we got another bit of news, man. Coming out of Washington.
Before we talk wait.
Name change. That's last, man. We got to do that last because I got to do my rant. Okay, you got to allow me to do my rant, okay?
We go in with the rant? Okay. Well, go ahead, rant, brother, rant.
Okay, so we got Raheem Mostert came out today and said that he wants to be traded. The audacity of this guy to come out and say that he wants to be traded. Are you kidding me right now? This is the same guy who has been cut by 6 other teams. And he want to get traded? Because he won't. You know what? And I read some more into it. He wants to get paid like Tevin Coleman.
Tevin Coleman is making more money than
$4.55 million this year. He wants to make the same amount of money as Tevin Coleman. I need you to prove that you can play more than 115 snaps, bro. Like, I need you to know You got 115 carries this year. Can you do 250 carries for them to pay you even $5 to $6 million a year?
Who had a better
I
season last
mean,
year, though?
honestly, they were literally neck and neck. Because if you think about it, Tevin Coleman had more
Right.
touchdowns. Well, I take that back. Raheem must have had more touchdowns. He had 10, but he was the third running back out of that bunch, and Tevin Coleman got
Right.
hurt for 2 games. Then you had Breida, so he couldn't even get off. And the only reason that he played is because Breida fumbled the ball. He couldn't hold on to the ball, and he got hurt. But Breida was the
Uh-huh.
man initially anyway. Breida and Tevin Coleman. Mustard was a
Yeah.
kick return guy, and he played on the punt return team. So for you to come out, I need you to prove it to me again that you can be the guy, because you was going to be in a three-headed monster this year anyway with McKinnon and Coleman. And I just don't understand how you come out and you say, I need more money. Show me what you can do. First of all, he has
Right.
no leverage to demand any type of trade. And you play in a system that feeds running backs. If anybody remember Terrell Davis was a 7th-round pick, ran for 2,000 yards twice,
Right.
back to back. And Kyle Shanahan's dad's offense, which is the same offense that the 49ers run, is just tweaked a little bit. You know what Terrell Davis did? He stayed put in
Right.
the Hall of Fame. What's wrong with this guy? Explain to me, JJ. What am I missing here?
He's a running back, and running backs have a very small opportunity to get money. And he's 28. It's about to be 29. So he's got about a year or two left. So I think it's just a situation. Say what you will. In that NFC Championship game, when he had 200 and what number of yards, I think he was trying to. He said, I think he believes he made a statement that he deserves. I would say I think he does deserve, if anyone deserves that kind of money, Tevin Coleman money, but he hasn't been in a position where he's going to get it. Because like you said, he has no leverage. There's no reason to give him that kind of money other than they feel happy that he had a good year. But like he's been on how many teams so far? He's never been that stud guy that he can say, I'm going to sit out. So if they say we're not paying you, he's going to show up or he's going to be broke. Well,
Regardless.
NFL player broke because he doesn't.
Because
Like I said, he has no guarantee money.
He has
He has nothing he can hold over their heads. I see we got a comment. I guess I should have also said that comment of Sydney L saying she's glad the Chiefs won the Super Bowl. So am I, a little bit. And then we got another comment from Anita Bracey. Undisputed spent 19 minutes talking about the Dak Prescott and what Jerry Jones will cough up, and 2 minutes on Mahomes. I guess inequity.
That is not true. That is not true. Come on now. Come on. That's one of my. She's one of my favorite people. She comments a lot, and she me and her, we go at it over certain things. But I love her though. She comes for me. But that's not true though. We all love Mahomes. Mahomes deserves the money that he got. I mean, it's really nothing you can say about it. He got $503 million. I mean,
maybe the reason they didn't spend a lot of time talking. I'm not trying to justify it. The only reason I can think they didn't spend a lot of time talking about it was because everybody knew it was coming. But it's $503 million. That's like $500 million. I would talk about that. That you could build a whole show on what you could do with $500 million. It's. But
and the thing is to piggyback.
Oh, you saw it?
I watched that clip earlier of Shannon Sharp, and he actually discussed Prescott and how it would affect that deal would affect Prescott.
Oh, did he?
And he made a good point. Prescott doesn't have any guaranteed money, so he can't. And the thing is with the Chiefs still owe Mahomes guaranteed money, so they can make this type of deal.
Okay.
For Mahomes. He's not going to get that type of money right off the bat. It's going to be another 2 years before he see that 500, that contract start anyway. With Dak Prescott, they're going to have to pay him that upfront money right now because he has no guaranteed money left. And that's the problem with Dallas. Dallas don't want to pay him anyway. I think the real reason
Dalton.
They brought in
they brought in Andy Dalton,
quarterback from Andy Dalton, I think Andy Dalton really is going to be, because they really feel like that is going to leave, and they got somebody to kind of slide in there so they
Right.
can draft another quarterback. That's what I really think is going to happen. That's on my personal opinion. But at the end of the day, I mean, does Dak deserve $40 million a year? No. But the ceiling for quarterbacks have went up with this deal right here. I'm just
Yeah,
saying.
I we talked about it before. When we were doing our quarterback show, we never experienced the kind of hate that we got for talking about Dak Prescott as if he was good, and I think that kind of reverberates within the league. They know he's good, but I don't think they believe he's $45 million kind of good. So I think that's the thing that's gonna hurt. The perception of Dak Prescott is he is in a perfect situation, and they can probably throw in someone like Andy Dalton, pay him a lot less, and get
Dalton
similar results.
and still win
Exactly.
games.
Still, of course, they haven't been to the playoffs, so whatever. So yeah,
But the thing with that is though, you got to see what he did
No.
without Ezekiel Elliott. They lost every game that Ezekiel Elliott
Yeah,
missed.
because-
They lost. So they saying we can slide Andy Dalton in for $7. They gave him
Yeah.
$7 million to be a backup. So we can slide Andy Dalton in to be our backup, and if Dak going to be here, that's fine. Let him walk. We can bring Dalton in, and he can do the same thing that Dak did. Probably
Yeah,
better if
probably.
they in their mind. I don't think so. I mean, Dalton ain't bad, but Dalton ain't the same Dalton that was 4 or 5 years ago. I mean,
so
let's be honest.
so,
man.
so I guess to answer
So-
your question, why is Jerry playing Dak? He thinks he can get away with it. So there you go. It's just hey,
Thank
these guys are all billionaires for a reason. They don't spend money they don't think they have to spend, which really goes back to
Exactly.
why this deal is so amazing for Patrick Mahomes, because hey, they broke the bank on him. you see the exact opposite with Dak Prescott. And going back to the subject at hand, that's why Raheem Mostert is getting no money from San Francisco, because they don't have to give him money. They have other people they can fill in, and you have to. There's not a quarterback in the league like Mahomes,
No.
unless you're gonna say Lamar Jackson is showing that potential. But for real, there's just one Mahomes. Raheem Mostert you can find on the street and you can throw in. And Jerry Jones' mind, he thinks he can find a replacement for Dak, because it's not like Dak Prescott was that highly touted guy coming out there.
Yeah.
Everybody wanted as that next level quarterback. So you get paid what your perceived worth is. And so
Yeah, exactly.
guys like Dak Prescott and Raheem Mostert don't have the perceived value that a Mahomes or a Lamar Jackson is going to get. So they're not going to see that kind of money.
I mean, honestly, I would put if it was me, and I would say who would get the money first, because I was just reading before we got on that they're saying the quarterback from Houston may get his money first before Lamar Jackson.
Deshaun Watson. Right.
Deshaun Watson. And I just feel like Deshaun Watson, if he had the pieces around him that Mahomes had, I think he can be that same quarterback.
I agree. I agree.
Deshaun Watson is amazing, man. Like he's right there too. He's not neck and neck with Mahomes as far as talent wise, but he's right there under him, and I feel like he deserves.
He's going to get a chance to show it this year, because without DeAndre Hopkins there, he's going to have to pull some miracles with Brandon Cooks and William Fuller the 4 weeks that he's there. And 48-year-old dude whose name I don't even remember right now, who used to play for Green Bay, Dallas, Randall Cobbs. So he's got some patchwork wide receivers he's going to be putting together.
Well, I mean, I did hear a slight rumor.
Oh yeah, you talk. Yeah, bring this up.
That they may try to go after Antonio Brown. Now, if he gets Antonio Brown, to me that slides him into a tier 1. I think that makes him look even better this year, because you got to think with Antonio Brown on one side, that makes Cook look excellent. I mean, in fantasy football, because we're not talking about the same Antonio Brown from a couple years ago. but it's still
It's
Antonio
still,
Brown.
yeah.
He still has
I think
talent.
he's better than anyone they have there right now.
Oh, definitely.
Yeah.
I would take Antonio Brown over anybody they got right now. Now, I've been hearing that little rumor. I don't know how true it is, but if that happens, I think that that makes him a valuable quarterback to take as a tier one because Antonio Brown it's just Antonio Brown got to keep his head together.
And that's the problem.
That's
why I don't see that deal happening right now because he. And I'm gonna tell you the truth. I'm jaded because he disrespected the Raiders, and so he's dead to me.
Your hurt is so bad.
So that hurt. So he would. First of all, the fact they gave away Amari Cooper and bought this guy again, and immediately when they did it, I was like, that's a bad idea because Antonio Brown was a head case in Pittsburgh. He's not going to be any better here. And Amari Cooper, though he drops the ball too much, he was a young receiver. So I said, I don't think you give away a future guy for someone who's on the end of their career. And then when I didn't like it anyway, he goes in and doesn't want to play. He makes all this bullcrap excuses to get him. He went in with the intent of getting himself traded so he could go play for the Patriots. And so to me, Antonio Brown, I wouldn't draft him if you gave him to me.
Well, Antonio Brown was a head case in Pittsburgh. Yeah. It just never got out until the last year he was there. He was doing stuff people didn't know about in the media until the whole Big Ben incident got, that stuff that last year he was with Pittsburgh, that stuff got out and that made him. They was like, well, he's been doing that for years.
Yeah, exactly. They cover up all his foolishness.
So, but if he does end up in Houston with Deshaun Watson, I can see that happening, but I don't know how true it is.
Yeah, it's a rumor, but I say this: they need to look at somebody because if they're gonna go with who they have, like I said, it's gonna be a year for Deshaun Watson to really prove how good he is, and I think he can do it. Because one thing that's I guess underappreciated about Deshaun Watson is he can make things happen with his legs as well as his arm, and so I think he's going to. I think he's going to have a really good year. I see that Nita's also said that they should fire their coach in Houston because he got rid of. He's the one that, yeah. I don't understand at all what their logic was this off season, but he gets paid a lot of money to make those horrible decisions. So
he's the GM.
Yeah, right? Bill O'Brien. Bill O'Brien. Bill O'Brien is the guy. What was it? I think there was a Bill Parcells quote he used to say: "If they're gonna ask you to make your food, they should let you at least buy the groceries." That's Bill O'Brien. He's cooking the food and he's buying the groceries, and he just threw out the best T-bone steak that they had with DeAndre Hopkins. And they got like hamburger in return. So I don't know what his logic is. It's just stupid.
I want to say I want to say from what I was reading, him and Hopkins
they didn't get along, right?
For some reason. I don't understand how you don't get along with Hopkins, who's the best receiver, one of the best receivers, if not top 3, top 2, whatever you want to say, in the league. Yeah. I just don't get it. You don't give that up for a Brandon Cooks.
No.
Brandon Cooks is like McDonald's, dog. Stop it. So, no, you don't do it, man. It's just terrible. It was a terrible trade.
Yeah.
He should have been fired immediately after he did it.
Right.
But it didn't happen. They let him keep his job. Yeah. And you made a good point earlier. That may be because they're trying to give Watson all this money, which. In a sense, if that happens, it makes sense. But if that was the case, they should have drafted a receiver in the draft.
Exactly, I was going to say. It can make sense, but just the fact that they got practically nothing for one of the best wide receivers, to me, it's just like, I don't understand. I don't understand.
That doesn't. It don't make sense to me. And then you trade him to Arizona with a Kyler Murray who. Up and coming quarterback with a Larry Fitzgerald who still can give you some production, and you got Christian Kirk out there. I said you traded him to a perfect situation where he's gonna go there
and he's gonna make you look stupid. He's gonna have a fantastic year, and people are gonna say, "Man, why did we give him away?" because they literally just gave him
It
away.
don't make sense.
Yeah.
I mean, it's stupid. I mean, they could hire me to be the GM, and I know I ain't gonna do that. I mean, that's just crazy to me, man. Yeah, no, I don't understand it, man. But I hope Watson do good this year. I hope he get his money. I think he's gonna run more.
Yeah, he's gonna have. But like I said, I think he's gonna have to
run a lot more.
I mean,
David
I was gonna say, especially if David Johnson is, because he's one of your picks to exceed expectations this year. If he doesn't, if he's hurt again, then Deshaun Watson is just on the island by himself. Because, it could be a terrible year for him. So I hope he can pull it off.
I mean, my thing is, I would probably take him over Lamar Jackson. Still, just because he's gonna have to do a lot, and if you thinking about fantasy purposes, he gonna have to run, he gonna have to throw. I mean, he just gonna have to be Superman out there trying to do everything, trying to save the day, trying to get these. Does he make those receivers better? That's the question. I think he does.
Okay.
So I think he does. That'll show his maturity, his leadership. And that's going to show that he can, because, Brady did it a long time with no receivers. Yeah. Maybe one, I think the only good receiver he had outside of Edelman was Randy Moss. But he did it for years where he didn't need those top flight receivers. We got to see if Deshaun Watson can do it this year. I think he can, man. I mean, I personally do, and I don't mind taking him. He's going to fall in the draft anyway just because of that. So I take my chances on him, though. So, I mean, I got another thing to talk about, man. It's close to you. The city is close to you. Yeah,
we got
David.
one more topic.
How do you feel about this Redskin thing, man?
The Washington
Redskin.
It sounds like it's not going to be that. Well, we everyone that's been in the country, like that has known, it's been a lot of racial tension, if you will, in discussion. Yes. And so for the 400th time, they go to Dan Snyder and say, you should change his name. And this year, it actually had more impact, and I think because of all what we're seeing with Black Lives Matter. And so what we saw, Nike took all their Washington team apparel down. FedEx, who gave them 250 million or something like that, naming rights, was like, we want y'all to rename the team. We saw a lot of backlash that we haven't seen in past years regarding this Washington team. And so it looks like they say even as early as this season, they might be coming back with a new name. So
and the thing is, what you didn't say is it's three. I think it's three owners, small owners of the team. They own about 40% of the team, and they're actually selling their stock in the team. Because they said Dan Snyder, he's been so adamant about not changing the name that they don't want to be a part of it.
Right.
So they was like, we just can't do it. We're gonna sell our stock and we're gonna move on. So, and those are the FedEx guys actually. One of the guys, he's one of the owners of FedEx. So he was like, look, man, I don't want no parts of it. I'm just gonna get out of here. Yeah. So I guess they're gonna sell it to somebody that actually want it, because Dan Snyder owns about 60% of the team. It's three other people that own the other 40%. So they want out. Nike want out. All the big corporations are not even dealing with that. And like I was watching Stephen A. Or I think it was Stephen A. or Shannon Sharp, one of the two, and they said he's gonna have to do it now because it's hurting his pockets.
And that's the only thing that these guys, we talk about. These guys are billionaires. They don't do stuff unless they have to. I think that right now, because I say it's not like this is something new. They've been called that forever, and people have been telling them they should change it forever. I think it's just the mood of the country right now that made them these corporations are saying, hey, we don't want to be associated with this. And so now he's facing more pressure than he ever has. I still don't think he wants to change the name, but I think he's going to end up having to change the name. Like you said, it's when it starts to get in your pocketbook or your wallet or whatever you have with you that day, that makes a difference.
Well, that they signed a 20. I think FedEx signed a 20. I want to say it's either a 15 or 20-year deal to do a naming rights for the stadium. they're trying to back out of that deal, which is I think it's like $204 million. They want out of that deal. That money goes to Dan Snyder.
Yeah.
So he's gonna lose that $204 million plus all the merchandise they pulled down from Nike. He's losing that money. And it's a ton of Redskins fans in this world. So the money, the $204 million plus the money he's losing from Nike and all these other corporations, he's bound to lose a lot of money if he don't change the name. I mean, it's just retarded. If you don't, you gotta at some point you gotta have some type of common sense and say, you know what, it's not right, and it's terrible. But like you say, he really don't want to do it, but his hand is being forced, so he gonna have to. Now, do they change the logo and everything in a month span? That's the question. I mean, because I'm pretty sure they can do it, but you got to think about jerseys and helmets and hats and logos on shirts and all that stuff. How does that be in effect immediately? I mean, what do you think about that?
He has enough money that he can hold off, but it's not a situation where he's going to be missing money, but I don't think that's even a concern. It's more so I want more money because, money and power is what drives these guys. You won't see guys saying, I don't want any more money. So he's not going to be hurt as in, he's going to the poorhouse because of it. But the money that he wants, he's not going to be getting. I see another comment from Nita. Snyder's a friend with Jared Kushner. In fact, I believe that Trump was giving support for them keeping that name this year, recently. So we'll see. We know Snyder wants the money, but I think it's just the right time, if that's the right word to call it, to see this kind of change happen. Now, have you seen some of the names that people are proposing? Because I've seen got the.
I like the red.
That's the first one. That's the first one I wrote down. I was gonna say they got the Red Tails. I've seen the Warriors, the Braves, Senators or Federals or something around. I hate all those things around. We have enough of that kind of stuff here. So they have the just Skins shortening the name, or going back to what was the 60s when they were called the Hogs. Yeah,
oh, really?
Or pig skins and stuff like that.
I love the Red Tails. They actually did a kind of markup of the logo for the Red Tails.
Yeah, I've seen that.
Which was a plane, and it had the rail tail at the back, and it was pretty sweet though. I actually liked it. And you really don't have to change much if you think about it. If you go from Redskins to Red Tails, you're not changing much because a lot of those Redskins they just have the R anyway. Right. So they've tried in recent years to try to get away from the old emblem. So yeah, that R is the big thing they've been going. So I mean, I like Red Tails. I can see it actually being a good name, and the color scheme would be the same. They're not going to change that. So they wouldn't have to change the color scheme. So definitely. So I mean, that's the only one I like. I don't like.
You don't like the Warriors?
The other names. No, I don't like the Warriors.
No.
What does the Warriors have to do with Washington? Does it have to do with Washington?
Alliteration. Washington Warriors. That's all I got.
I don't like it. No. I do Red Tails.
I've heard that was the popular name amongst the people on the inside.
Really?
Yeah.
Warriors?
Yeah.
I don't.
Orlena said she said the Skins. Just keep it like that. Yeah.
Nah, I can see the Skins.
I guess to me, my issue with the Skins is it's not really changing your name. It's gonna if you just say the Skins, we all know in your mind you're thinking red. You know what I'm saying? So it's like back in 2000 or so, 2002, I think it was around 2002. I moved down to. And this is somewhat related. I moved down to Georgia, and they had a thing where they wanted to change the state flag, much like Mississippi has announced they're going to do. It had the rebel Confederate flag in there, right?
Yeah.
And so their thing was, we're going to change the flag, but what they did was they had a history of flags, and they had a little small rebel flag at the bottom of it. So they changed the flag, but it was still there. And so that's what I feel like if you just had the name of Skins, you changed it, but it's still the Redskins. You know what I'm saying? I think they have to go away from it entirely. So that's why something like the Red Tails works. And it's kind of a little bit of saying, hey, if you go with the from the Tuskegee Airmen, that's where that Red Tails come from. It kind of
definitely
absolves you of your racism. I guess that's their logic. Like, we're gonna honor a group since we've been so disrespectful to another group beforehand. So
I mean, honestly, question for you: do you think if he don't change the name,
it's gonna be bad? It's
gonna be bad, obviously. But do you think does that change? Will he be forced to sell the team? Is that something that could possibly happen? I
don't foresee that happening. But I think what's going to happen is there's going to be a bunch of protests if they don't change the name, and not just in DC. There's going to be protests at every NFL game, and these owners in their billionaire club are going to get together and say, dude, get your stuff together. So I think eventually it's going to be maybe not forced to sell, but told, we will kick you out of this club if you don't get in line. And so I think he's going to once it becomes a financial strain for them, then it's going to come down. I don't think he's going to end up selling the team. I think he's just going to back down to the pressure and change the name.
Well, another thing they're saying too, that's one of the reasons why he won't get a new stadium. That's why the city of, it's not even Washington, it's Landover. So it's really the stadium is really in Landover, Maryland. So it's
up here,
The old stadium, RFK, is in Washington. But they're saying the reason why, that's one of the reasons why, because he wants a new stadium. Yeah. They're not giving him a new stadium. They're not going to give him the funds to get a new stadium just because of the name.
Right.
I would have been changed the name. If he's all about money, just change the name. You're getting a brand new stadium.
Yeah, he's going to have to. They're not going to back down. I see Nita said that right now, since Mahomes got all his money, he can go buy the team. They changed the name with the Pat Mahomes. Or just do like a Prince number. We're just going to be called the dollar signs. There you go.
I mean, because honestly, man, I've been into that stadium in Landover.
Yeah, I've been there.
And it's some really bad seats there. Honestly, it's some bad seats where they actually sell them to you, where they have the poles. And they have a seat where you sit directly in front of the pole. And you got to watch a TV. You might as well be home. Like, it's terrible, man. So it's like he could get a new stadium out of this whole deal if he just changed the name, and it's been like that for the last. He's been
very stubborn with it, but
I just don't. I don't know. Speaking of teams,
what you got?
I just ran across something that might warm your heart a little bit. They're saying that they might be trying to get a team in Oakland.
Oh,
how do you feel about that? Did you know about this?
No, I not so much. If it's not, I go with. If it's not the Raiders, then to me it's kind of.
They still own the name Raiders, right? So if they go there and they're changed the name to Oakland Raiders, you have a decision to make, son. I mean, come on, bro. You have a decision to make. Is it the Las Vegas Raiders or is it the Oakland Raiders? Are you going with Oakland or are you going with Las Vegas? You gotta let me know something here. Come on now. Hey, you gotta let the people know.
I'm gonna go with whoever has the better record.
Nah, it's nothing like the black and silver in Oakland.
I will say I've been to the Oakland Stadium. It is awesome. Well, it's a terrible stadium, actually. Let me rephrase that.
It ain't that bad.
It's a terrible stadium. It really was. I see why they've been trying to get a new one for all these years. It's terrible. It's terrible. It's terrible. But
it can't be.
But it's an aura. There's a feeling. There's an essence. There's the spirit of Al Davis around that place.
Okay.
And so I'm getting this look. Trust me, I was there. You weren't there. There's something. There's something historic and magical about the place, as bad of a stadium as it was. I think. What were you gonna say? Because I was just gonna say that. To me, you can't recreate that, even if they bring it back. So we'll see. I don't know. Cleveland did it with the Browns, I guess. So why not?
Hey, come on, man. You gotta make a decision. I mean, and I read that it will be a black-owned group. Yeah. Like, actually, they will be the owners. So it will be a bunch of entrepreneurs, obviously, entertainers or whatever, that will own that team in Oakland. My thing is, if they went back to the black and silver Oakland Raiders, and they got the name from Las Vegas, and they changed the name of Las Vegas to something totally different, the Las Vegas Strip Club. I mean, something else. I mean, because they know for strip clubs.
Yeah, it's Vegas.
The Las Vegas Strip Club or something. I mean, anything. Right. I'm just saying. Gambling, Las Vegas. The gamblers,
that'll work. I say one thing. I will be at a whatever they are. I'm going to be. That stadium is beautiful that they built there. And Vegas is a nice town. If you've never been, you should go to Vegas and have some fun. Yeah.
Well, we did talk. Yeah. We talk all the time, so that's nothing to do. But we talked, and we were saying that we have to do a game, and we want to do a live show from a actual NFL game. People, we're gonna make this thing happen. I'm telling you right now. Actually, we play the Raiders in preseason this year, which we're not gonna go this year.
Oh no!
We always play the Raiders in the preseason. The 49ers and Raiders play every year in the preseason because A, they gonna fight for one, and two, it's just they like to play each other. Yeah. So you got to be a little, cautious when you go there. But it's still the Raiders versus the 49ers. We should do that game.
Oh yeah.
If they ever do another preseason game after that.
Oh yeah. I think we're gonna definitely have to do that one. So,
but I'm just saying.
I see a question just came in. Not that orange question. I'm ignoring that one. The aura was not orange. Well, the question we didn't put this on the show today, so I guess we can comment on this a little bit before we go, because I see we're getting after 10. Is feelings on Deshaun Jackson's comment?
I really didn't hear all of it, so I don't really know the whole gist of it. But from what I heard, he apologized. Yeah. I heard they say they might cut him.
Yeah.
I did hear that. I don't, because they can cut him without any penalty. Yeah. So they might cut him just because he said that. Yeah. Because the owner is a Jewish man, so it's like he's kind of offended.
Yeah, I mean, rightfully so.
He said he sat down and talked to the owner. Yeah. So I don't know.
Yeah, I don't have a whole lot of feelings on it other than at some point, people are going to have to realize you're going to be accountable for your words. And hopefully at some point, people will, watch what they say in real life, watch what they say on social media, realize that your words have some meaning. And apparently it's all about the Buffalo Bills this year. That came out of nowhere, Keith Stewart. Nowhere. That is Keith Stewart.
Oh my God! How did I know?
It would have to be, right?
Is that Keith?
It's all about Josh Allen somehow not being the worst passing completion quarterback in the league. That's what their goal is this year. So that's what I feel about the Bills. Get it together. Well, I will say this: the Bills should be the best team in the AFC East this year because. Who are they playing against?
Cam.
Right.
Cam. I think Cam is going to ball out this year. I think Cam with Bill Belichick and Josh. Don't look at me like that. Yes, Cam.
Yeah. But still, the Bills should be the best.
With Josh McDaniels and Bill Belichick at the hand with Cam Newton. Okay. Are you kidding me? Man, come on.
If Cam is healthy. If Cam is healthy and plays a full year,
yeah, Yes,
Yeah.
Cam is fully healthy.
Okay.
I think he's fully healthy. I think he got something to prove. He's only making $555,000.
Yeah.
Guaranteed. Can
He
make
said
up to
he's
7.2 million.
This is the craziest statement. Cam Newton, was that, I'm done with being humble. I was like, who? Okay. I didn't know you started, but all right, that's cool. So he has a lot to prove this year. So he's going to be doing what he does. But I still think, to Keith's point, the Bills are the team to beat in that division because the Dolphins will once again stink. The Jets don't know how to do anything else but stink. The Patriots might be interesting.
Hold on. This is the same guy that said something about the Jets earlier on one podcast that we was on, that he said we need to watch out for what running back they got on out there in New York that's supposed to be really, really good this year and supposed to put up all those numbers.
Le'Veon Bell.
What's his name, JJ? I need a refresher. My mind is really bad tonight for some reason. What is it? What's his name?
You're talking about the Jets and the Le'Veon Bell? Is that the name?
That's
what you're talking about.
He did say Le'Veon would have like 1,400 yards this year. They're supposed to do some work. This is the same guy that comment. Do you remember that comment?
I've heard, but
okay. I'm just trying to make sure we're on the same page here, because he did say, "Oh, y'all better watch out for Donald, because Donald gonna be good this year." Come on now, Keith. We playing the same league, Keith. We know you like this, Keith. Don't do this to me now. Come on, man. Stop it now. You know Donald's not gonna be good.
Because he still plays for the Jets.
Stop it. Oh my gosh, no, he don't. I'm reading something, JJ, and they saying Derrick Henry might not sign his extension.
Right.
They're not trying to extend him like that.
It does not pay to be a running back. That's all it is. There's no. We talked there at the beginning of the show. There's no love for kickers, and there's no love for running backs right now because
they said not on the verge of happening.
They will just.
That's the quote.
They use you up and they throw you out, and that's why we talked about Mustard. He's trying to get some money. He has no way of getting it from his team, but that's to me insane because Derrick Henry is not just a fantasy football beast. He's a player beast. He's in real life. He's huge, and he's just a terror on the field. If they're not going to pay him at the running back position, no one's ever going to get paid. I got a comment from Jasper saying, "Congratulations for working out kinks. Good to keep we had Rodney on the whole show because going back to a few weeks, we've had a whole bunch of problems in the past." Yeah, but now you can hear all the foolishness Rodney says.
For real. So we're
working it out.
People, it's really our first technical year of doing this. We started a little bit earlier, but this is really our first technical year. So we're
learning, we're growing.
I mean, we're
hopefully giving you better information every week. So
we're getting there. We appreciate y'all though. We really do. Man, this has been actually a fun show, and I would say that because this is people for y'all that don't know me and him. This is normal conversation.
This is about as close to RJ Fantasy Football Talk, the original, just me and you on the phone, that you're gonna ever get, and I'm actually happy with it because I don't think either one of us was really looking forward to this show. When we were talking about defensive players and kickers, I was like, how are we gonna get through an hour of that? So I think the football gods had us in mind, and they just gave us so many stories this week. So
exactly,
they knew we were dying for content. So
I mean, really, people, he not lying. This is the closest you're gonna get. And me and him talk. I would say 4 times, at least 2 times a day.
We talk quite a bit.
At least 4 days a week. We talking, and we talk for hours about fantasy football in general. So this is actually nothing compared to what we really do.
Right.
Even when we go off air, we talk.
Right.
So it's like this is the closest you're gonna get to a real conversation that we actually have with each other. And we disagree a lot. We agree most of the time. I would say 95% of the time we agree on the same thing. But it's always that 5% on the phone where he'd be like, "Oh, right now I don't think so," and I'd be like, "I don't think so." So I mean, but this is what you get from us. So,
So
but
yeah,
that's my brother, man. You know, and it's ride or die, man.
all
you know,
the
so
time,
this is what
man.
we do.
So I'm glad y'all were with us. Tune in. We'll be back here 2 weeks from today with I think it's gonna be a really good show. We'll tell you guys more about it. Again, we're gonna tell y'all some more about this giveaway we're gonna do. Hit that button if you haven't already. I think everyone here has probably already hit it at least once in the last. But tell your friends,
tell somebody,
call somebody. Tell them, hey, y'all need to go over to the RJ Fantasy Football Talk Show, hit that subscribe button, and keep staying with us.
Also, like the Instagram page,
Instagram,
like the
Facebook
page. We've been heavy putting stuff out there, content lately. At least 3 days a week, we putting some content out, working on some stuff now. But just go like the page and support us, man. We really do appreciate y'all, for real. Honestly,
all right.
we do.
Thanks for watching, Anita.
Right.
I'm glad you enjoyed this show. Tell everybody, come on back. We'll be doing it again. All right.
All right,
y'all take care. Night.